Good morning, all of you. So today we'll discuss about the location of center of mass of the various shaped objects. Then we'll enter into the motion of center of mass. Okay, fine. So we'll begin with the numericals. So what is the center of mass of solid hemisphere? Half of the sphere. So this will be the structure. So let R be the radius of that. Let O be the center. So we have to calculate what is the center of mass of this solid hemisphere. Okay, workout no. Already we have some idea. Yesterday class we have checked it. No, we did for hollow hemispherical shell. No? Also hemispherical shell we did. Now I'm asking for this one. So it will be the structure. It's a three-dimensional object I'm showing. So this will be the base. Coloring all it's taking lot of time. I'm just give a rough diagram here. Is that okay? No. So this will be the sufficient. So now we have to look at the center of mass of this. So what best we can assume here is what this solid hemisphere to be made up of. Hemispherical shell of increasing radius. Hemispherical shell of increasing radius. I'll give plain diagram. Hemispherical shell of increasing radius. So let this be equal to R, thickness of this, dr, mass of this, let it be dm. What is the total radius? Total radius is capital R. What is this? Thin hemispherical shell. I think you know what is the center of mass for this thin hemispherical shell. It should be at what distance? For this thin hemispherical shell, it should be at a distance of r by 2. This is for not hemisphere. For hemispherical shell, it is I'm talking about this one. So now let's go for this one. Solid hemisphere. Is it a like a 3D object or 2D object? It's a 3D object here. That one. So let rho be the density. Now let me define the mass dm. What should be the mass of that hemispherical shell? dm should be equal to rho into surface area of that 2 pi x square dx. So then what is rho? How you define mass by 2 by 3 pi r cube? No, so 2 pi x square dx. So dr I took it. I'll make it small r. So I have this much here. So this will become, so altogether the value of dm is equal to 3m by 2 pi will cancel out. So r cube will be left over. So here r square dr. No. So we know mass here. So can we define now the center of mass of the system? dm we know. So where the center of mass will be at a distance r by 2. I think I'll take it out this capital R. Center of mass of what? This one? Center of mass of hemispherical shell. We have to calculate center of mass of this solid hemisphere. So where do it lie? It will be, we have to locate its center of mass. Okay, get this one. Now, what is again the formula? RCM, RCM equal to integral of, what is the thing? Of this hemispherical shell where the center of mass is at a distance r by 2. I think this bracket term is very important. Into mass by this one. So what should be the limit? 0 to capital R. That bracket r by 2 is something very important. Now let's come for dm. Dm is how much? 3m by r cube r square dr. Total mass, let it be m. So here r cube will come outside. So 3 r cube 3 by 2. So this will be r cube dr, 0 to capital R. 3 r to power of, or 3r by 8. From where? From the base. So this is what? That 3r by 8. I'll show it here. So like this, all this you are supposed to remember. Huh? No, disk. If you chose the disk again, disk of varying radius, you have to bring it. No, lot of calculations. I made things very simple. Okay, similarly, we'll go for solid cone. Let h be the height of the cone. And r be the radius of the cone. I think it's a solid 3D object. Will define the volume density. So let this be the coordinate O. From here, what happen? We should find out the location of center of mass. This total height is h. Now, how to get that? So, what best we can assume? A circular disk. So we'll assume here a circular disk. Thickness of that, let it be dx at a distance x, and let this be y. Half of cone angle theta, let it be. Now, here mass of this dm. So what is this? This is a disk, elemental disk, better you call it. What is elemental structure? This we are assuming. So radius, elemental disk of thickness dx and radius y. What is the volume of the, how you define density? Density equal to mass by volume of the cone. 1 by 3 pi r square h. So then what is dm? Elemental mass will define. So dm should be equal to rho into pi y square into dx. So what is it? If you want to keep rho as it is, anyway, it's get eliminated, dm. So now we know. So where the center of mass of this will be? Where the center of mass of this elemental disk will be? At a distance x only. Here it will be located. Now we want center of mass of the total system. What's be the formula now? How the formula will take place? So xcm, this should be equal to integral of the center of mass of this elemental structure is at this is the origin. This is the origin we are taking y. This x-axis will take it. At what distance the center of mass of elemental structure from the origin? At a distance x. So put in bracket. Then mass of that elemental structure by total mass of the system. So the value of x from where to where? 0 to h. So what is dm? Rho pi y square dx. This total integral of dm will be m. What is rho by m? Rho by m, 1 by 3 pi r cube. So or you can write m as rho into this one. So let me keep as it is y. What to do? We can't integrate, no? Y square dx. How to replace some quantities there? So I'll take help of this triangle. So you can see this triangle. This is r, this is y, this is x, this total is h, no? Write some set of equations. So let's go for some calculations here. Tan theta y by x equal to rh, no? So in place of now y, what you can write? Rx by h. Substitute that here. 0 to h x rho pi rx h whole square dx by m. Solving further, this should be equal to rho pi r square m h square will come outside. So this will be x cube dx. 0 to h. Okay, let's substitute all. Rho, what you can write it as? Rho, you can write it as m by, no, this is 3m by pi r square h. So therefore rho will be 3m by pi r square h m h square, here pi r square. So this should be h to the power of 4 by 4. One pi r square get cancels, h cube get cancels, m get cancelled. So I'll be left over with 3h by 4. So where it will be? It will be at a distance of 3h by 4. So somewhere near to the base. Okay, this will be the location of center of mass of the solid cone. It's a compulsory, you must remember all this. There's no other way because we do this. Huh? What happened? Are you able to hear me, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay then. Okay, next after this, hollow cone. We'll take it. Last one, hollow cone. Center of mass of hollow cone we have to find out. Let R be the radius of that. Usually we'll give, let H be the solid cone over, no? Let H be the height as usual. Let H be the height of this. Let R be the radius of this. Hollow cone it is. Where the mass will be present on the surface, no? Cone ice cream, all of you. Birthday, during birthday will wear that cap, no? That was this hollow cone. Or cone ice cream with cone with ice cream will be solid cone. When you scoop out all that ice cream, so only cone will be left on, no? What about its center of mass? That's what the structure is. What elemental structure you should supposed to assume? So whenever that you compare solid hemisphere, then hemispherical shell. Hemispherical shell, we assumed a strip, no? Circular strip. Then solid cone, we assumed it made up of that one. Made up of hemispherical shells, then we proceeded. A hollow cone, what you can do this? Can we assume a smaller hollow cone? No, not elemental structure cannot be taken. No. So therefore, what we do here, we are going to assume we'll assume again in a circular strip. So this will be now take this circular strip. So this is the elemental ring. So you can take this is theta. Let this be x. Let this be dl. Let it be slant length. Let it be l. The radius of this, let it be r. Now proceed here. So first, what is the shall we define sigma? The mass will be spread on the surface, no, and this is the origin. Y-axis, x-axis. With respect to origin, we are supposed to calculate here. How you define sigma? Mass by surface area of a cone. What is surface area of a cone? Pi RL. Let L be the slant length of the cone. L is not given. We are assuming it. Let me bring that L here in this way. L is what? Slant length of the cone. H is height of the cone. So therefore the sigma we define m by pi RL. L is what we assumed it. So therefore this should be h square plus r square. Now get into the problem. So first we'll define what is dm here. So what should be the dm is equal to mass of elemental strip. Mass of elemental strip. So dm is equal to sigma into 2 pi r. 2 pi r is radius, no? This will be 2 pi r into dl, not dx. Dx is this one. Slant length, there'll be a difference will be there, no? Here. I'll draw one small triangle. This is what dx, this is what dl, and this is d theta, and this is theta. Able to make it out? This one. So you should not write dx here, 2 pi r dx. If they're solid, okay, we can assume it. If it's solid, okay, you can make approximation. That small elemental thing you can neglect here. If they hollow, no. So then you have to be careful about the relation between dl and dx. At many problems, you do come across this condition. Okay, let's go for all. So what is r? So sine theta. Let's look at the mathematics sum. Sine theta is equal to r by l. So r equal to L sine theta. Replete like this. So on the other side, we have dl. Sigma 2 pi L sine theta dl. What is sigma? Sigma is m by pi r root of h square plus r square 2 pi L sine theta dl. This is the value of dm. Pi get eliminated, so the total dm will become equal to 2m what is sine theta? One more thing, I think we can replace sine theta also. 2mr h square plus r square L dl sine theta. In place of sine theta, what we can write? R by h. Looking at bigger triangle, sine
Sir,
theta
R by
equal to
capital L.
so sorry, r by
Sir,
capital
it's
L. No? Yeah, yes. Okay, r by capital L. No? Sorry, this is L. So what is L? Root of h square plus r square. So directly, let me write here r by. This should be equal to root of h square plus r square. The sine theta is what I replaced. I'm just highlighting it. Now this should be equal to 2m L dl. R get cancelled, so this will be h square plus r square. Keep it here. Now we'll define the center of mass of this system, XCM. What should be the definition? XCM should be equal to where the center of mass of this elemental structure will be at a distance x in the bracket dm by total mass. Or if you want, you write integral of m, integral of dm. So let me
Sir, in denominator it is L into under root of h square plus r square, sir.
it will be this much only, ma. Check it. RR got cancelled.
Correct only, sir.
Yes, sorry, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now substitute all this. So substituting this one, x, this will be 2m L dl m h square r square all divided by m. This m will get cancelled. So h square root of h square plus r square, we can take it outside. So the xcm should be equal to 2 by one more thing, we have to replace dl, no? What can be dl?
Sir, it will be root over. It will not be root over h plus r square.
Root will not be there, yeah. Take it on this one. So 2 root of h square r square xl dl. I'll make it small so that everything will be visible for you.
Sir, root of h square plus r square. It
A,
will do h square plus r.
this is one. Keep it here now. Now xl dl we can't integrate, no? xl dl can't be integrated. So therefore what we can do, either you can replace L or X. Let me replace X, that one. I'll integrate 0 to capital L. Later on I'll substitute the limit. So how to replace X now? Cos theta. So I'll take help of the formula. Cos theta equal to X by L. X equal to L cos theta. What is cos theta from bigger triangle? H by root of h square plus r square. So this I'm going to substitute here. So finally this will be h square r square LH L into DL. 2 h square plus r square to the power of 3 by 2 L square DL. What should be this? 0 to capital L. Any method you can follow. So 2 h square r square to the power of 3 by 2. This will become L cube by 3.
Sir, you missed one h in the numerator.
1h where it has gone? Here. Now substitute all this. Finally, XCM should be equal to 2h by 3.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, you have to remember, nobody will ask you. A student must have an idea. For hollow cone, 2h by 3. The center of mass will be solid cone 3h by 4, hollow cone 2h by 3. Okay, take the next one. So let me give some different shaped structures. This is the structure like this we have. So shall I say it's a plate, not solid, it's a plate. Let me write sigma so that it will be where one of the curved surface is governed by the equation, parabolic equation y equal to x square by 2. Parabolic plate. So what is this? We can call this as parabolic plate here. We have to locate the center of mass of this system. semicircular plate we had, no? So semicircular plate, what was the advantage with this? So we assume, no? So you recollect semicircular plate. We assumed a strip like this. Semicircular wire, it is made up of semicircular strip of radius r, width dr. Then we found it, no? What you can assume it here? You recollect this idea, what we did? Can we assume any strip? No, nothing. So directly what happened? Not like curved strip here. So what you can assume it is, okay, let there be a I'll assume a vertical strip. So what is the width of this? Let it be dx and let this be y. So first we'll locate the x coordinate of center of mass. So at what distance? So it is at a distance x, that one. So then xcm is equal to xcm should be equal to x into dm by integral of dm. What is the limits he has given? So 0 to 2. This I'll come to the limits later on. Okay, now let's substitute all the quantities. X is equal to what should be the dm? What you're going to write? Sigma into y dx. Then what is the dm? Sigma into here also y dx. Mass of the strip, let it be dm. So sigma will get eliminated. So x y dx here y dx. So what is the how that surface is governed? This particular surface, how it is governed? Y equal to x square by 2. So the limit will be x into y equal to x square by 2 dx. This should be x square by 2 dx. So now you put the limit, because if you write 0 to 2, it will become 2 kg. So better to now you put the limits here. So 1 by 2 get cancelled. So on the here x cube dx 0 to 3 or 0 to 2. Similarly, this will be 0 to 2 x square dx. X cube by 3. Sorry, x to power of 4 by 4, 0 to 2. X cube by 3, 0 to 2. So 3 by 4 will come. So x to power of 4, x cube 1 cancel. So x1, 2 will be there. So 3 by 2 meter. So 1.5 meter. This is xcm. Similarly for ycm, you assume one more strip. Horizontal strip you assume it and calculate the ycm. Okay, no, so some different shaped curves will also, structures will come. So you have to be very careful about this. Okay, let's go for next, the paraboloid. Huh? Just do make observation and draw the diagram. What do you mean by paraboloid? And there's a structure, what we have here. parabolic surface we took earlier, parabolic plate here. This is a paraboloid here. So how the paraboloid? So you take a curve, parabolic curve, y equal to x square, and you are going to rotate it, or x equal to y square, you are going to rotate about x-axis. In physics, these are very important, paraboloids. So let this be. This surface is governed by x equal to y square. It's a 3D object. You have to be very careful. It's a 3D object, density rho. Now you have to look at the position of center of mass. Take some cucumber, cut. If cucumber will be like this, no, the shape. When you cut it, this will be a paraboloid. This part we don't eat it, no. So this will be paraboloid, roughly, to make you imagine. Okay, try this. Meanwhile, I'll give that 3D effect for this. What actually you have to do? One-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional object. I think better you should have a basic picture. The moment you get a question, just identify what is the type of object. Is it lies in, is the one-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional. So based on that, what happen? The assumptions have to be made. Okay, now this will be the what we can assume it. So better to take a strip. So here I'll take a circular strip. Let the radius of this. So this is elemental structure now. So let it be at a distance x. The radius, let it be y. So dx will be the thickness here. Now directly straight away go to this. See, in exams you can't write it everything. Within 2-3 steps you're supposed to calculate where the center of mass of this circular strip will be at this particular point. Center of mass will be here. So what you're going to write it at a distance x, center of mass of elemental structure from the origin. From the origin at what distance? At a distance x into dm mass of that elemental structure. This is elemental structure. What is elemental structure? Circular strip or circular disk here. Okay, fine. And now integral of dm. Okay, substitute here now. What is dm? Dm you can write rho into dv. Rho into dv. Rho get cancelled. So x dv by integral of dv. What is dv? Volume of that elemental structure. What should be the volume of that elemental structure? Pi y square dx. Radius is how much? Y. So pi y square dx. This will be pi y square dx. Pi get cancels. So this will be x y square dx, y square dx. We have to integrate. So let me define the total height of the paraboloid. Let it be h. We'll define here. I need h, no? Because either radius or height, something I should give. Let h be the height of the paraboloid. Elemental disk, let me write it. Okay, now go for it. So I should integrate now. Y should be replaced with x, no? So y square is equal to x. Y square is equal to x dx. This will be x dx. So x square dx 0 to h. X dx 0 to h. 2h by 3. From where? From the vertex. From the base, it will be h by 3. So where the center of mass of system will be somewhere here. At what distance? Xcm will be 2h by 3. From the vertex, you can call it. or usually we call apex, apex of a cone. So apex of paraboloid. From apex. Or h by 3 from base. Even that rho can be variable. Even the density of that what happen can increase along x-axis. If density is variable, what you're going to do? You're going to bring changes here. If density increases along x-axis, rho equal to rho naught x square, substitute that rho equal to rho naught x square here and work out the problem. It's not that uniform density should be material. It can be non-uniform also, and we can manage by this method. Completed. So we'll take the next one. Just wait, some disturbance has come. Able to see? I think there won't be any problem, no? Yeah. Okay, after this, so we'll go for, there's a parabola I got out. So we'll go for solid pyramid, the last one. Solid pyramid of height h. Let me take like this, solid pyramid of height h. With a square base. I think I'll try to, there's a rough diagram, so a little bit difficulty is there. Solid base, solid pyramid with square base of height h. Not at center. I'll try to draw some better diagram. Meanwhile, you can try it. Solid pyramid square base of height h. You have to find out the center of mass of this one. It is like this. Yeah, okay. Look at the, you have to determine the center of mass of this one. X, Y, this z axis. Let the side length of this base, let it be 2a, and h is the height. So let me give the symbols. This is center of the square base is O, then this will be P, where OP is equal to H. H you should measure along that green color line. Okay, work out now. Yeah. Side length of the square base is 2a, so we have to look at the center of mass of this one. What is the elemental structure you are supposed to assume? What should be the elemental structure that should be assumed here? Square plate. Plate you should not say, no, square base you have to say. You should not use word plate. Square base. Base of a pyramid will be square. Can be asked for you, such numericals you have to be very careful, can be asked. What should be the elemental structure? I think we are going to go again for the elemental structure will be a slice. Shall I use word slice? Square slice. This should be the elemental structure. Okay, now you define the thickness here. So you make it a one plane diagram so that it'll be easy for you. So this is the think that one. So yeah. Just if you see from one side, no, so this will be the condition. So what should be the limits? What will take it? So it should be equal to dx this should be the dx, no, and let it be at a distance x, this one. So you can proceed like this. And for convenient, so define this theta, and this is so this should be the a, this should be the a, and this is that point O, and this is that P, and let this be y. So first, if you can define what is the volume of that, let rho will come into picture, no? Rho will come into picture. So what is the volume of this square strip or square slice? Anything you can take it. I'll call it as square slice. Similar to bread piece. It is. So what should be the volume of that? dV should be equal to rho into it should be y, and this should be y, no? 2y. So the elemental slice, what we have taken is of this one.
Sir, OP should be H, right?
OP should be H, no? Square plate only. Square plate only. I should square slice means plate. I think technically we'll call this a square slice, circular disc. Square plate should not be used here. Square slice is what technically we use. I'm just using. Or if you are plate, plate or slice, both are same. Okay, dV equal to rho into okay, this one. Volume of that will be 2y square into dx. dx is this one. Now making some all. Or if you want, you can write, you can show where that dx will be like this. So 2y square into dx, that one. So let me directly come for center of mass, where the center of mass of this will be at the midpoint of the square slice. So xem equal to x. Now there's a bracket, this is very important. At what distance the center of the square plate will be from the origin? At a distance x, according to this one. So into dm integral of dm. Next, again, let's substitute all the quantities one by one. X into, what is the value of dm? dm should be equal to rho into dv by total mass of the square pyramid. Let it be m. Anybody value total mass of the square pyramid? 1 by 3 pi, it was like a pi r square h, no? So your square pyramid volume of this total will be 2a whole square h by 3. Volume of cone, similarly for square pyramid, the side length is 2a. So this should be the volume of pyramid here. So now this will be x rho, dv is what? 2y square dx. What is m? Mass should be equal to rho into v. This should be x. 4 will come outside. 4 by v. X y square dx. We don't know x and y some relationship. That OP is what h, no? Yeah. OP is what h. Look at the triangle. Anything, can you bring it? Y by h minus x should be equal to a by h from the triangle. From this triangle, a by h should be equal to y by h minus x. Tan theta equal to y by h minus x. And the same tan theta is equal to a by h. So I can replace now y. What is y is equal to now? So y is equal to a h minus x by h. That you substitute here. So xcm is equal to 4. Volume is how much? 2 of 4. This will be 4a square h by 3. Integral of x, value of y will be a h minus x by h whole square dx. So this should be 0 to h. Solve it, no? So we'll get around h by 4 it will come. The total answer will be, I'll write it, do calculation later on. Huh? You have to expand this and substitute the limit. So different shaped structures can be asked for you. Different shaped structures can be asked. The elemental structure, what you are going to assume is very important. Same hollow square pyramid will come. Try to think on that. If the hollow square pyramid, then see unless what things will come. Do calculation later on. So let me go for the next one. If there is a circular disc, plate will take it. Already we did this, no? There's a circular plate is there. Point. Now, this is a hole. Here is hole is present. What we did, no? So instead of hole, so just let me introduce the idea. So it's not that all the time there should be a hole. So what we did for circular disc, yesterday it was a hole, that one. Now in place of hole, I'll bring another plate. Now you can see this. This will be sigma. Here what will happen, I'll bring another. Let it be 2 sigma. So let this side length be L. This is L. This total, let it be L. You have to locate the center of mass of system. Able to understand now? So first what happened, I'll take a square plate of side length 2L and density sigma. I'll make a hole. In that hole, I'll fill up a material of density 2 sigma. We have to locate the center of mass of system. Instead of hole, now there can be some material. So first, what is this total system? So what you should equate this? So this is the, what is the method involved here? Instead of all, some other material comes. So what you're going to do is like this is a plate. It was like this. No? So what it is equal to? It is equal to now a square plate with hole. Plus this particular plate. Okay, got this one. So now you calculate the center of mass of this first diagram, second diagram, then you'll get the required for this particular thing. So there is nothing called like a here, hole is there. There's no hole. Now a material of 2 rho is what present here. Sigma and this will be this one. Okay, try now. So different methods are there. You can use your own convenience. It's not that what teacher has said. Any other method also you can apply it. So this is 2 sigma, this is sigma. First, in the first diagram, look at the center of mass of system. Second diagram, look at the center of mass of system. Then use formula xm equal to m1x1 plus m2x2 by m1 plus m2 formula. And what is the mass of this? We don't know. Mass of this, we don't know, which you have to calculate. What is the length? L. This is 2L. That of the dimensions of all are here L. Why, sir? Why you brought all? Why you brought all? I think this was the mechanism, no? Or any other method? Can we assume this also in another way? A square plate of surface density sigma without any hole plus a square plate of side length L and density sigma if it is placed on it. That's what we are discussing. Or another method, what is that? This is also equal to, or what you should assume, a full square plate without any hole, density sigma, side length 2L, plus, now which one is easier? Check it and proceed. Both are same, no? So here, what is the assumption? I think now you make it this complete yellow. But sir, there is no square plate of side length L and density sigma. This is approximation. This is a method you can also use. This is another method. Fine, both will get same answer. Okay, can you try this? These are the types of questions. Instead of hole, some plate will be, the gap will be filled up by some other material. This will be much easier, no? You calculate, so it will be at the center. Calculate mass of this. This mass M1, no, this should be different here. So call M1 dash. This mass should be M2 dash. Then choose anything, you can choose this is origin. Instead of O, or you can choose this is origin. And define the things. Okay, try this and I'll go for the next concept. So now we'll enter into the most important, motion of center of mass. This was the main priority what happened we are supposed to discuss here. Let me have water. Thank you, thank you. Let me take the motion of center of mass. Yeah, let me assume it two particles of mass m1 and other the m2. They are lying in a plane. You have to solve it. I just have an idea. You solve it, or later on I'll update it. I'll solve and update it. Let me introduce the idea of motion of center of mass. These are the position vectors of the particle. So what is the equation? We'll write it. RCM bar equal to M1 R1 bar plus M2 R2 bar by M1 plus M2. If any one particle or both the particles, if they are moving, if they are in motion, then what will happen to that M1 and M2 vector? What will happen to that R1 R2 bar? I'll displace it, or let they be in motion. If they're in motion means R1 bar R2 bar position will change with the time. So I'll differentiate this. If I differentiate, I'll end up with VCM equal to M1 V1 bar plus M2 V2 bar by M1 plus M2. This will be the velocity of center of mass. So let the velocity of the particles, let it be V2. Velocity of this particle is V1. Where the center of mass, let M2 be heavier than M1. So the center of mass of system should lie somewhere here. Velocity of center of mass will be directed in this way. As the particle moves, even the center of mass is also going to move. Due to some force will act on particles. Due to that force, what will happen to the velocity of the particles are going to change. M1 dv1 by dt, M2 dv2 by dt by M1 plus M2. Correspondingly, the velocity of center of mass is also going to change. So this should be equal to ACM, M1 A1 bar, M2 A2 bar by M1 plus M2. What is ACM? Acceleration of center of mass of system. What is M1 plus M2? Total mass of system. So this I can also write by M. So this will become MACM equal to M1A1 plus M2A2. What is M1A1? The force acting on the particle 1. So let me, for our convenient, I'll show it like this. What about, let it be F1. So what is the force acting on the particle 1? Let it be F1. And the force acting on the particle, let it be F2. And what we are getting, ACM. So what are F1 bar plus F2 bar? It is the resultant force that is acting on the system. So this will call F external. This is nothing but Newton's second law, no? So when the center of mass will accelerate, when the system is acted upon by net external force. What are F1, F2? Forces acting on individual particles. The resultant of that is what? F external. The resultant force acting on particle 1 F1. F2 is what? The resultant force acting on particle 2. The vector sum of that resultant force, the individual force acting on particle will be the net external force and ACM bar equal to. So therefore here afterwards, the how to describe the motion of a system. There are two approaches are there. Individually calculate force acting on each particle, calculate acceleration of the particles. Okay, that one here. Individually calculate force acting on each particle. I think I'll write it here separately. I'll calculate force acting individually on each particle. Then I'll calculate acceleration A1 and A2. Then I know mass M1, M2. I'll substitute, I'll get acceleration of center. This is one approach. What is the other approach? Directly let me go for the net external force acting on system and I know mass, I'll get acceleration of center of mass. I'm going to say approach. I think this word is very important. Two approaches are there. How to calculate acceleration of center of mass. This is the first approach. So what is the first approach? The first approach is this one. This is the second approach. Now it's a very good conceptual thing. So rather than discussing much on theory, let me take examples itself. It will be very easy for you. In the first approach, what we do, you calculate force acting on individual particles, individual parts of a system. Here particles I took. It can be even the blocks or segments of system. The force acting on individual parts of a system. You can M1, M2, you can also call it the parts rather than particles here. Because when we go for wedge constraint, I'm going to take same examples here. So what is the method? Calculate force acting on individual parts of a system. Calculate acceleration A1 bar, A2 bar. Use this formula, you'll get acceleration of center of mass. This is the one approach, first approach. What is the second approach? Calculate the resultant force acting on the system. What is F external you should call? Net external force acting on system. So calculate net external force acting on system by total mass of will be acceleration. Now you have to ask a good question to teacher. So which is very easy. It depends upon the situation. It all depends on situation. Sometimes tracing out net external force will be very difficult. Sometimes what happens, the tracing out means deciding net external force on system will be very difficult. So bring this one. In some situations, the net force is very easily available. So take help of this one. So this is what actually now say like here we are in a position to define now external and internal forces. Already we had in laws of motion some small idea, but here what we are going to say clear-cut idea of which is external force acting on system, which is internal force. So till then what I should not talk about internal external. Now I can talk I am in a better position to talk about internal external. Next again, what are the things? Suppose if net external force acting on system is 0. These are the numericals. What our numericals will be? Newton's second law only, Newton's laws only, we are exclusively writing in some systematic order here. If net external force acting on system is 0, and if center of mass is at rest, center of mass, I'll write COM, is at rest. What will happen to center of mass here? If net external force 0, so what is the immediate conclusion? ACM 0. If ACM 0, if there is no acceleration, so velocity of center of mass will be 0. Then what happened to center of mass? Will retain its inertia of rest. Center of mass retains inertia of rest. What will happen to delta RCM? Delta RCM will be 0. Change in position of center of mass will be 0. or no change in position of center of mass. No change. You have so almost around 20 numericals are there on the first condition what I have put. 20 numericals. So what you have to do, you are supposed to identify in a system net force 0 or non-zero. This is the thing. Next, again, second situation. If net external force is 0, center of mass moving with velocity, moving with center of mass is having some velocity or having some initial velocity. What should happen? ACM is 0. What should happen to VCM? Will it be non-zero, no? Delta VCM will be 0. Will I agree? With what velocity the body is moving? If net external force is 0, then if body is having uniform velocity motion, it will continue its uniform velocity motion. Same thing with center of mass also. VCM will be non-zero, delta VCM will be 0. Are you able to understand this? What will happen to delta XCM? Delta XCM or delta RCM? Yes, as the center of mass is having uniform velocity, the position will shift. No? The center of mass will get displaced here. The third one, if net external force non-zero. Center of mass at rest, let me take it. Initially at rest. Some are asking is initially at rest. Initially moving with velocity. Some are asking this clarification. Okay, I just put it everything in order. Okay, now if net external force 0, center of mass is initially at rest. What should happen to acceleration of center of mass? Non-zero. Velocity of center of mass non-zero. Center of mass starts or delta VCM, better you write. Velocity starts increasing or varying, then position of center of mass is going to change. So what you have to check it now, whenever you get any system, check what is the state of the system. Is it rest or in motion? Yes, if it is at rest, net external force 0, then you can pick up the condition 1. Net external force 0 and the center of mass is having uniform velocity motion. Center of mass will continue its uniform velocity motion, but there will be change in position of center of mass. Now you have to ask questions of why you are already laws of motion we have discussed. What is necessity of center of mass? Again, our preparation is for what, like rolling mechanics, rotation mechanics, and collisions. In collisions, what happen? If you do problem in center of mass frame, calculations can be minimized. That is the purpose of why we are introducing this concept of center of mass here. So the first approach, second approach. So let me give one very simple problem. What is actually the first approach, second approach? What actually meaning of that? So there's a pulley system, there's a block, I'll release it. So let this be M to M for our calculation purpose. There's a first block, this second block. I want now the acceleration of center of mass. So let's analyze what all we know, we'll analyze it. So the weight of the block 2 mg, here normal contact N1, and this mg, this surface is smooth. What are the forces? This will be tension, this will be tension, tension the string T. It will have acceleration A2, this will have acceleration A1. Let's calculate. And what about magnitude? In terms of magnitude, both of the same directions will be different. Horizontal, this is vertical, second one. So what is the acceleration equal to? 2 mg by 2m plus m, no? So this is g by 3. What is the acceleration? A2 is equal to, A2 should be equal to minus g by 3 j cap. What about A1? A1 will be G by 3 I cap. What is the acceleration of center of mass? Let me proceed like this. This is m a1 bar 2m a2 bar by m plus 2m. A1 is g by 3 I cap minus 2m g j cap by 3m. M get cancelled, so this will be g by 9 I cap 2g by 9 j cap. Now, what is the net external force acting on system? Yes, I have formula. Net mass of system m plus 2m into ACM. So this will be 3m.
Sir, in the first step, it is 2G by 3.
Yes, sir.
Oh, here. 2g by 3 it is. 2g by 3, 2g. Everywhere I'll make it 2. Two G by, and this will be 4G, it will come. Yeah. 2G, this will be 4G. 1, 3 you can take it out. So mg I'll bring outside total. Mg this will be 2 by 3 I cap 4 by 3 j cap. Okay, in laws of motion, I used to say like this, no? What is it? To calculate acceleration, you see what I did? The interpretation little bit, you see that. What you're going to write? The total, why the blocks will move. Because of the resultant force 2mg is acting. Therefore, the acceleration 2mg by mass. So what is 2mg? Shall I say it's a force acting on system? What this center of mass is telling? What is the net external force acting on system? mg 2 by 3 I cap minus 4 by 3 j cap. But what we took here, you look at this. We just say like a 2mg force acting, that's why they're accelerating. Why the blocks are accelerating? The blocks are accelerating because of this external force acting on system. I think there's a lot of difference, sir. Which one is right, which one is wrong? There we were bothered about only the motion of the blocks in laws of motion. Here we are bothered about the motion of the system. System means what here? M and 2m. Now, what makes the acceleration of center of mass to move along x-axis? From where do that has come? From where do this has come? I think these are some very good questions what happen we can answer using this one, because here if I ask you what is the net force acting on system, don't say 2mg. To calculate acceleration of block, the force responsible for acceleration of block we are telling. If I say what is the net force acting on system is not 2mg. This should be the net force. If only 2mg, no, then the center of mass should shift only vertically down. But it's not like that. How center of mass is moving, you look at this one. 2 I cap, so it is having something like, okay, here's this one, come for this. I cap minus j cap. So this is heavier mass, so center of mass, let it be somewhere here. And how do it move? I cap minus j cap. Somewhere here, the center of mass of system will be moving. The star mark I'm taking here. Okay, now I'll ask you, this tension, is it an internal force? The tension is not internal force here. Because what makes the system to move along axis? This tension only. So therefore, here what will happen? To identify which force is internal, external, what happens? This particular concept of center of mass will help us here. Because we know which forces are responsible for displacement of center of mass, external forces. So the tension is not here internal force. So I can categorize now the forces here, whether they are internal or external, because this is something very important for us. How do I can categorize? By analyzing this thing. So what we had in laws of motion till now, what is the acceleration of block? We just select a 2mg is responsible for the motion of the block. Yes, that one. What makes the block M to move? The tension only. And the tension acting on the pulley, what happened? The pulley is at rest, no? So this is nothing to do. Okay, got this one. So here a lot of difference is there. So students often confuse here. So the reason for that, when you enter into the collisions, there what happen, we should know when you say momentum is conserved. So we should know which is internal, external, no? So when you don't know which forces are internal, external, so I think no way you can manage. See, if I give two particles, everyone will solve. If I give some system where 2-3 blocks and one wedge is there or sphere is there, no, there the real trouble starts. And definitely you must be in a position to identify whether net force, external force acting on system is zero or non-zero. If it is zero, you can conserve momentum, all other things. If non-zero, you should not conserve momentum. That is our goal for which we are trying it. Got the idea? This one? Okay, let's take the next one. Let the person walk on a plank. Okay, there's a person is there standing at one end. Mass of the person be m1, mass of the plank be m2, and the plank is kept on smooth surface. Let L be the length of the plank. And this should be rough, no? Then only the person can walk on it. So by the time when you move from one end to another end, what is the displacement of the plank? Find displacement of plank when person moves from one end to other end of the plank. So how the friction force will act on this person? Like this. Then as it starts moving, and the friction force on the plank like this. So what will happen to altogether the plank? The plank will undergo displacement. The plank will undergo displacement. So let me take, this is the origin. It's a very basic problem. Let me take this as a reference. Where finally the person has reached the other end of the plank. Now, what is the displacement of this particular plank? Let me take this as x2. So look at now, the center of mass of the plank will be here. And what is the net external force acting on system along x-axis? Zero, no? The net external force acting on system along x-axis will be zero. So finally, shall we put L by 2 minus x2, this is this distance. And at what distance the person is will be L minus x2. These are the positions. So I'll identify what is the net force acting on system along x-axis, 0. And initially they are at rest. The person starts walking and the plank will shift over. Why plank will shift towards left? Because of friction. Friction on the person will be towards right, on the plank will be towards left. Net force is 0. So and initially what is the position of center of mass at rest? So finally it should be at rest only. And as net external force is 0, so delta XCM will be 0. No change in position of center of mass. So therefore, XCMI should be equal to XCMF. Looking at this diagram, XCMI, M1, where the person, let me choose this as origin. The initial position of person, let it be origin. Or initial left end of the plank, let it be origin. M1, person is at origin. Plank at a distance L by 2 by total mass M1 plus M2. XCMF, at what distance the person is finally? M1 L minus X2. Plank at what distance? M2 minus X2. Why minus X2? Anything you measure towards right will be positive. Look at X2 now. Sorry, this is. A person at what distance will be L minus X2. What about the center of mass of plank? Center of mass of plank is at a distance how much? L by 2 minus X2 by total mass M1 plus M2. So M1 plus M2 denominator get cancelled. So M2 L by 2 in the numerator. So finally, when you solve it, I'll get the displacement of plank equal to how much? M1 L by M1 plus M2. What is this? Displacement of plank with respect to ground. What is the displacement of person with respect to ground? Earlier he was at origin. Finally, at what distance? L minus X2 the person is. So what is the displacement of person? Displacement of person with respect to ground. This should be equal to how much? L minus X2. So which is M2L by M1 plus M2. If you take the displacement of person positive, displacement of plank should be negative. Already I assume that negative sign. Towards left is what we took it, no? L minus X2 has come. So like this, what happened? We can write expression for, you can find out how much distance the plank has moved here. Now, without center of mass, can we solve this? We'll be in a big trouble, no? And where the center of mass of system will not shift. Where it is, it will be there only. So here plank is, so it will be there only. Look at that, this center of mass of system, I'm putting a vertical line. Look at that, though person shifted, what happened the center of mass? The center of mass has not shifted. Where it is, it will be there only. And what is this distance? You can call it as XCM. Look at center of mass, it didn't shift, no? Means, sir, every time we have to draw a diagram like this, every time we have to draw a diagram, we have to write equation, you can avoid this. You can directly bring directly a formula and you can manage here. You can directly take up a formula and you can manage the things. So what is the another approach? We know XCM equal to M1x1 plus M2x2 by M1 plus M2. Delta XCM, M1 delta x1 bar M2 delta x2 bar by M1 plus M2. As net action force acting on system is 0. So delta XCM 0. There's another approach. So therefore finally M1 delta x1 plus M2 delta x2 equal to 0. Now what is delta x1? Displacement of person with respect to ground, that one. So how do we can calculate how much the person has walked with respect to plank? L, no. With respect to ground, M2L by M1 plus M2. Come back again, make do observation. How much person has walked with respect to plank? L. With respect to ground, M2L by M1 plus M2. So I'm going to use that relative motion. Displacement of person, displacement of man with respect to plank is equal to displacement of man with respect to ground minus displacement of plank with respect to ground. There's a formula, no? Displacement of man with respect to plank plus L, it'll move towards right. Displacement of man with respect to ground, we don't know. Displacement of plank, we don't know. The one which you don't know, just leave it. Okay, got this? This will be, so what is this? This is what? The delta x1. Oh, sorry. This is xm is what? Displacement of person. So I'll write it delta x1 minus x2. So what is delta x1 now? L plus x2 is what? Delta x1. And what is delta x2? Delta x2 is what? Displacement of the plank with respect to ground, and that should be x2. Substitute these values here. Displacement of what is xp? Displacement of plank. And what is xm? Displacement of man. All these are with respect to ground. Now let's use this formula. M1. What is delta x1? You can write it. L plus x2. Displacement of plank, we don't know. Displacement of plank, we don't know that one. So here is, it is like this. Look at the symbols. So they should be x2 equals 0. So therefore, m1l, m1x2 plus m2x2 equals 0. So what is x2 is equal to? Minus m1l by m1 plus m2. What do you mean by negative? The plank will shift towards left. The symbols try to analyze. Look at these symbols here. The symbols try to see this one. Displacement of man with respect to plank equal to displacement of man minus displacement of plank. Xm is what? Delta x1. X2 is what? Xp, that one. Delta x2 or x2 or xp. So I think there are two approaches are there, no? Directly take help of this formula approach, or sometimes you need where you have to draw a diagram, look at initial position, final position, and you have to work out here. So you should practice either of the one. Okay, let me give one more case. So there are two persons are there. Let me call M1, M2, and there's a plank, let it be M3. Now M1 will walk a distance of, so let the length of the plank be L. He will walk a distance 3L by 4, and M2 what happen will walk a distance of, say like around L by or 2L by 3. Then what is the displacement of plank? Two persons are standing at the ends as shown. Person 1 walks a distance of 3L by 4 with respect to plank, and person 2 2L by 3 with respect to plank. Find the displacement of plank. Plank is this one. How much with respect to plank? You will move 3L by 4 one person, and the other person, person 2, he will walk 2L by 3. So we have to calculate with respect, find the displacement of Planck here. So you can draw a diagram, check it. So I think I'll directly go for a method. What is that? M1 delta x1 plus M2 delta x2 plus M3 delta x3. Put it. Because as the person walk, there'll be friction acting like this. F1, F1. This person will walk. F2. This will be F2. So F1 may not be equal to F2, or F2 may not be, or F1 greater than F2, or F1 will be less than F2, or F1 may be equal to F2. We don't know altogether. We can't get into that particular analysis here. So directly I want displacement of Planck. I'll use this formula. What is delta x1? Displacement of person 1 with respect to ground. We don't know that. We'll calculate like this. Displacement of person with respect to Planck. 3 means Planck here. 1 means person 1. Should be equal to x1 minus x3. These are with respect to ground. This is displacement of person 1 with respect to Planck. With respect to Planck, how much? Anything towards right? Positive. 3L by 4 plus 3L by 4. Do we know displacement of person? We don't know. Leave it. Don't put any sign. The unknown things, don't put any sign. Then we don't know displacement of Planck also. Leave it. Let's come for second person. X2 3 equal to x2 minus x3. Displacement of second person with respect to Planck. What action second person will move towards left, no? So minus 2L by 3. Why negative sign? Because displacement of second person is towards left is equal to displacement of person with respect to ground. We don't know. Displacement of Planck with respect to ground. We don't know. So what is x1? X1 equal to 3L by 4 plus x3. What is x2? X3 minus 2L by 3. And what is delta x1? Call now this is delta x1. Fine. Call this is delta x2. And what is delta x3? Should be equal to x3. Substitute, I think we know all the values. Substituting this, M1. This is the approach which you have to develop for exam, because time will be very less. No, you can't draw all the diagrams. No? So this should be M1 is equal to delta x1 3L by 4 x3. M2, this should be x3 minus 2L by 3. Plus M3 x3 equal to 0. So what is the resultant? X3 should be equal to 3 M1 L by 4 minus 2 M2 L by 3 by M1 plus M2 plus M3. It all depends on now M1 and M2 relationship also. In what direction the Planck will shift. 3 by 4, 0.7, 2 by 3, 0.6. So again the M1, M2 will determine now. So what should be the ratio of M1 and M2 so that Planck should not shift? I think you can bring that ratio here now. 8 by 9. If M1 by M2 equal to 8 by 9, the displacement of Planck will be 0. If M1 by M2 is greater than 8 by 9, Planck will shift towards left. So like this, we can discuss about the conditions. If M1 by M2 is equal to 8 by 9, Planck not shift. Though persons moved. If M1 by M2 greater than 8 by 9, what about X3? X3 will be non-zero. Planck will shift towards right, towards left. Planck will. Now, X3, the interpretation of sign is very important. X3, if I get positive, what I should assume?
So in the numerator, it should be minus 3m1 L by 4 plus 2m2 L by 3. Sir.
Any calculations? I have to check it.
The sign, sir.
Yes, sir, fine.
Numerator, huh?
Yes, sir, numerator.
What should be the sign? Minus 3 ml. Huh?
Yes, sir, minus
Yes, sir.
3m1l and plus 2m2.
Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah. Now M1 M1 by M2 equal to 8 by 9. Okay, that okay after solving. No? Next again, you try to look at this condition. If M1 by M2 is greater than 8 by 9, X will be non-zero. Planck in what action? If I get negative, Planck will shift towards left. X3 will be non-zero and will be negative. X3 not equal to 0, Planck will shift towards left. Or X3 negative also you put it. Because we assume anything towards right positive, if you get negative, it will shift towards right. If M1 by M2 less than 8 by 9. X3 non-zero, X3 positive. Planck will shift towards right. Okay, this is overall the basic idea. I think this is very systematic way, that one. All the unknown things you need to bother. The unknown things sign also you need to bother. Just the known things. What is the known thing? The displacement of person with respect to Planck. We know only that one. Here, look at this sign, negative. And look at this sign, it will be positive. Why the positive, negative? Anything towards right positive, towards left will be negative. The relative displacement or absolute displacement, anything it will be. So these are the plenty of numericals you do have in books. Almost around some 20 numericals are the related of different systems conditions will come. Initial velocities, if they're running, you can't apply this. If they're running with a velocity, then the Planck will have velocity of the Planck will come. Then from the velocity of Planck, you should calculate the displacement. Other method will be there. Now we are taking a situation, initially they are at rest and they walk slowly on the Planck. So what is the assumptions if you want? Planck is initially at rest and the persons walk slowly on it. There's a condition. Okay, now you do have plenty of questions related to this. This analysis what I did. So I suggest you this formula you don't. This is overall. The whole chapter just revolves around this idea. And again, I told you the first approach and the second approach. The idea of the first approach and second approach. If there is a friction between the Planck and the ground, what conditions will come? If the surface is rough. This must be rougher, then only the person can, as he's walking, friction will be like this. This is F1 and F1. So this frictional force, what it does now, M1. This frictional force, F1, what it does, will try to shift the Planck. With the Planck will shift or not, what happen? An external force is acting on the system. Okay, look at now. What is the net external force acting on system? This will be unknown, no? F2 is external force. So net external force will be non-zero. Tell me what will happen to delta axiom. Will be non-zero. Center of mass shifts towards right. And now you can, on what basis you are saying, sir? Because the center of mass all happen. Initially, the person in Planck are at rest. And the person starts walking. Let's assume that the friction F1 is greater than, it's a static friction, no? It can overcome that kinetic friction F2K. Or F2 static or kinetic, irrespective of that, the Planck will shift. Let even Planck at rest or Planck will shift. Net external force is acting on that one. And the center of mass, what happens? Will shift in the direction of net external force. So here, conclusion, what I can write? Center of mass shift towards right. Reason for that? Because F2 will become external. So what is the internal now? Now this will be internal. This F1 will become internal. This F2 will become external. External to Mann-Planck system. And what about F1? F1 will become internal to Mann-Planck system. So now I'm able to categorize. So in every problem, what you should do, you have to search for external forces 0 or non-zero. 0, then delta axiom 0, then you can discuss some problem. If external force is non-zero, he may ask you some acceleration or displacement of center of mass. Go back to kinematics, laws of motion, and work out the problem. There's a one approach is what we are supposed to develop here. Okay, now tomorrow I'll continue from here. Fine, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
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 Okay, thank you all of you. Take care. Bye. See you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.